We got the 3-0 Minnesota Vikings heading over to Lambeau Field to face the Green Bay Packers, who are 2-1 for the Week 4 matchup, and this is definitely the best game of the week, at least in my opinion. You got the Aaron Jones reunion coming back to Green Bay, and all he wants to do is do a Lambeau leap, or whatever he wants to call it. I forgot what he wanted to call it, but he wants to do the Lambeau leap basically, and we obviously, Packer fans, do not want that to happen, but that's a really big factor coming into this game is Aaron Jones coming back. Of course, NFC North rival teams, the Vikings and the Packers, they're always neck and neck. Usually in the last 5 to 6 years, we always split the games throughout the year. We always win at their field, and they always win at our field. So this game, obviously, is going to be a great game no matter what. Even if the Vikings were 1-2 or the Packers are 1-2, whatever, it's always good to face the Vikings. As of right now, the Packers are 3-point favorites, so the Vikings are given 3 points. And I think that's pretty reasonable, especially if Jordan Love is playing. If Jordan Love is not playing, which as of right now, he's questionable. I'm recording this on a Saturday. Then I think the Vikings would be favorites if Malik Willis was starting. But let's get into the video now. The first thing I do want to notice real quick is that the Vikings injury report, they had a huge CVS receipt of, report, but they only had one person ruled out, which is Ivan Pace Jr. He was the only one ruled out, so the Jordan Addison is playing for the second time this year. That's a really big factor for the Vikings offense, especially they already been humming ever since, he's been out. They've been doing really, really good, and so that's a really big factor for the Vikings. Now, taking a look at the Packers injury report, we got Jordan Morgan, who was ruled out. That is not shocking at all. We all expected that coming into this week. He was also ruled out last week, but the one that was definitely unexpected was Jaire Alexander. He is questionable as of right now. So is Jordan Love, and Carrington Valentine is doubtful. I do think Jaire is going to play. I mean, I know he didn't practice on Friday, but I think he's going to end up playing because this is a huge game. He wants to go up against Jaire Alexander. I'm not Jaire. Oh, my God. Justin Jefferson he wants to go up into. So I'm pretty sure he's going to end up playing. Now, Jordan Love, coming into this week, I assumed he's going to play, and the Packers are playing it safe, limiting him every single game or every single practice from Wednesday through Friday. So we're going to really see if he's really limited. I think that's just the Packers trying to finesse the Vikings real quick. I say 95% chance Jordan Love does play, but the 5%, because, you can never say anything's 100% anymore. But I do think Jordan Love will be playing this game. Now, one of the things I definitely want to talk about this game is the Vikings defense, and they are way better than I anticipated. Right now, you're looking at the Vikings defense starters. You got, Cashman with a 78.1, Harrison Smith, of course, one of the best safeties on the Vikings history at 83.9, Van Geikel, a nice free agent signing for the Minnesota Vikings, along with Grenard. He's also been completely balling out, and this defense has been absolutely ferocious. They shut down CJ Stroud. They shut down the greatest passer of all time, Daniel Jones, in week 1. No, I'm just playing. But the Vikings, they put up a really good game against the 49ers too. They basically shut down Brock Purdy. But last week against the Texans was the best performance you can ever get against the Texans. I know the Texans had their star running backs out, Joe Mixon, but still they had great weapons all over the place, and CJ Stroud just did nothing against them. The Vikings are leading the league with 15 sacks in 3 games, which is completely absurd. That's like Madden game numbers, freaking ridiculous. They also have 5 interceptions on the year. They have a couple of forced fumbles. So this defense is definitely turning over the ball, and this is definitely one of the biggest challenges for the Packers so far this year. And they faced against the Titans last week, who had a pretty good defense but weren't really creating a lot of turnovers, and it ended up being completely vice versa in that game. The Packers scorched them across the field the whole way, passing and the running game, no turnovers, whatever. But this is the biggest game for the Packers this year. Of course, it's only week 4, that's why. But again, a division rival, one of the best teams in the NFL, definitely the best team in the NFC right now, at least in my opinion. This is no joke of a team. Now, taking a look at the Packers side of the ball when it comes to the offensive side, of course, we're gonna have Jordan Love, who has a 64.6 overall grade, which is only from 1 game. The offensive line, besides the center, is actually pretty good. I think Josh Myers has always been completely no bueno know, in that center position. He's 31 out of 32 ranked already. But of course, we got Jaden Reed, Christian Watson. They're all healthy right now. You know, of course, Dontavion Wicks and Romeo Doubs. So I think the passing game is finally going to be implemented since Jordan Love should be coming back. Now, if Malik Willis comes back, or not comes back, if he stays, you know, end up being the quarterback this week, it's going to be a complete different game plan. Like I just mentioned earlier, I said that the Vikings had 15 or 16 sacks this year. So they're getting to the quarterback, and the Packers offensive line has to be good today, or I'm sorry, tomorrow. And the Vikings are also really good against the run game too. So it's just, I feel like this defense is going to be just completely stuffing over the Packers, especially in that D box, because they're going to be filling up the box. Josh Jacobs probably will have a slow day, at least in my personal prediction, but the second to third string cornerbacks for the Vikings is pretty weak. So the Packers game plan should probably be a lot of like play action passes, you know, try to go across the field a lot, you know, in the middle of the field, go deep freaking a lot, because, you know, or unless you got to do a lot of quick plays, you know, this defense for the Vikings is going to get to the quarterback. They're going to be blitzing a lot. So it's like a lot of play action might help, a lot of like small routes. Just passing the ball is the main factor for the Packers this game. I don't think the run game is going to be relevant at all, at least in my personal opinion. So open up the pass game, do a lot of play actions, you know, go across the middle, do a lot of slants, run pass options, all that type of stuff. The Packers are going to have to open up the playbook against the Vikings. The Packers defense, as you can see, is definitely a little bit weaker compared to the Vikings, according to Pro Football Focus, especially the D-line. TJ Slayton at 43.4, and Kenny Clark is 37.9. You know, Walker 40.7. He has been definitely struggling this year, but when it comes to the Packers defense, we all know they can create turnovers. The Packers have 7 interceptions and 2 fumbles, according with 9 total turnovers in 3 games. A lot better ratio than it was last year. And the reason why the Packers are winning, because they're turning over the ball, and on the offensive side of the ball, they are not turning it over. So that's one of the biggest things the Packers are going to have to do in this game against a very good Vikings offense. We'll see in a second, is to create turnovers. They have to. This Vikings offensive line is probably one of the best in the NFL when it comes to not giving up sacks. They do kind of give up a lot of pressures. You know, the center and right guard is not too good, but besides Darisaw and Brandel and O'Neal have been doing very good this year, especially against the Texans and the 49ers D-line, who are definitely a top 5 unit for both of those teams. So I will say that the Vikings have an above average offensive line, at least as of right now. So, you know, when it comes to the D-line, you know, Kenny Clark has to have a good game, because again, the center and the right guard has been struggling for the Vikings this year, and Kenny Clark needs to get something going here. Of course, Justin Jefferson, you got Aaron Jones, you got Jordan Addison coming back in this game. This offense has all kinds of weapons, and Sam Darnold has been doing really good this year. Sam Darnold has 53 completions for 78 attempts, which is a 67.9 completion percentage, about 657 yards, 8 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. He did get sacked a lot, actually looking back at it now, but he also has a really good quarterback rating of 117.3. And whenever he has a clean pocket, it was 122 or something like that. But whenever he is pressured, it is 82.8. So I think the Packers, the Packers should be blitzing a lot in this game, because you have to create some kind of pressure with Sam Darnold, because he still might be seeing ghost. Now, after looking at the Pro Football Focus's grades on the Packers offensive and defensive side, same with the Vikings, I can say that, you know, this is going to be a very close game, like I just said in the beginning of the video. Now, do I think it's going to be a high-scoring game? I'm not exactly sure, because this Vikings defense has only given up 3 touchdowns all year, and, you know, against really good offensives too. It's not like the Titans or the Colts that the Packers have faced. The Packers can definitely be exposed, especially in the running game. Aaron Jones might run all over us for a $153 touchdowns. We don't know exactly what he's going to do, of course, but the Packers did pretty good last week in the run game, but I think it might be exploited here. But I can definitely see Sam Darnold throwing a couple interceptions too, just because the Packers defense has been really, really good forcing turnovers. And now when it comes to the Packers offensive side of the ball, you know, this Vikings defense has been great, like I was just saying. But, you know, if Jordan Love plays, he cannot be risky. He cannot throw into double coverage a lot, which he usually don't. But, you know, Malik Willis has looked really good these last 2 weeks. But It's the run game. I don't think is going to work against the Vikings. They're like a top 2 or top 3 unit when it comes to rushing yards per game. So this is going to be a close one. I do got the Green Bay Packers winning, of course. I do think it will be like a 23-20 game, maybe 24-21 in that 3-point range. You know, I will say the Packers will win, but I don't think the Packers will get that point spread. So I do take the Vikings on the +3 right there. But of course, I would not be mad at all if you guys took the Vikings, if everyone takes the Vikings. As of right now, it's like a 54% Packers and 46% Vikings. But again, I will not be shocked either way what you say, because these are two great teams. But that wraps up this video. If you like it, hit that like button, comment down below your biggest prediction for this game if you're watching it before the game. But I'm out of here. Deuces.